Starting live. All right, today in Sports Biz Podcast, we got Mike Madera, the president of the historic Walter Camp Football Foundation. How you doing?
How are you guys doing today?
Fantastic. The coach is here as well as car blew up, though.
Yeah.
250,000. 80,000 miles.
It was. It fits my personality. I'm a grinder, and I just like to grind.
Low and slow.
It wasn't about being cheap and not wanting to get a car.
Yeah.
Actually, just bought a brand new 2019 Terrain.
Yeah.
So now I'm in the market for something else. Shout out to Toyota Avalon. 280,000 miles, not one major issue with it. The whole time I had it, I bought it brand new in 03.
Yeah.
And it literally just stopped mid highway as I was driving.
Really? Everything just shut down?
Speedometer zeroed out, buried itself. The steering wheel locked, and I think it was the car's way of telling me it's time.
Big time. All right. Well, enough about you now.
Yeah. That's what this is all about.
It is about you. Mike, Walter Camp, you got the weekend coming up. So talk about, I know we talked a little bit about it, but I really want you to tell the story. You've been involved in this organization for 25 years. I mean, us growing up in this market, Walter Camp weekend was something we always had on our calendar, and we look forward to it. So what was it that got you turned on to working within the organization?
Well, I'm sure you know, like growing up, we all grew up in West Haven, a big sports community, and we throughout the years always look for something. After you play, I played baseball here, and then after just look for something to, way to give back. And one day I just happened to be at the gym, met a member, and we were talking. He's like, "Hey, I think you'd be a good fit." And it's a foundation that's a labor of love. We're all volunteer foundation based in New Haven, Connecticut. And when you look at the things that we do with all volunteer foundation, it's simply amazing. And, it becomes, I hate to say it, it becomes addictive. You start seeing some good things in the community, and you start seeing things that this foundation has done and put smiles on other kids' faces or what have you. And as you do more of it, you just want to see more results like that, just about making people happy.
So you went from volunteer all the way up to the president.
Yeah.
So how many people did you have to knock off and kill to get there?
It's the American dream.
It is the American dream.
In motion.
Yeah.
And I will say this, it's funny because you talk to my wife and whoever, I never came in thinking I'd be president. I never came in wanting to be president. I never came in anything like that. I was just looking to do the right thing, just looking to give back. And then as you move up, you start seeing some things and you start saying, hey, maybe we can do this, maybe we can do that, maybe have your voice heard a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And, you have to work your way up. And I think it was, for me, a challenge because of all the great minds that were in this foundation. I mean, and the past presidents and the officers before me, what a great job they did. And to me, really, it's a challenge. Listen, I'm in the top spot right now, but it doesn't make it mean that it's easy or I can let up. I feel like there's more pressure now because you're setting the standard. And for this foundation that was started in 1967, the All-American team, 1889. I mean, there's almost, 200 years of history here, and to think about that, I mean, it's a lot on you. You got to make sure that you do the right thing.
No pressure at all, right? Just don't screw it up, Westy. So the history is so deep and part of this culture in New Haven for us. And it's always been geographically, I think, challenging because when people think college football, you're thinking the Southeast and you're thinking Ohio, you're thinking Texas, you're not thinking New Haven, Connecticut, but really the Northeast is really where college football began. Right? From high school. And I mean, this is where it started. Unfortunately, we couldn't hold on to that reputation of being a stronghold. But talk about that as far as, the challenges that you guys, or the positive side of it, with the resources that you have at Yale University be tied to this program.
Well, I think the first thing that people know is, Walter Camp with Yale. Now, he was put in charge of, the game of football was just about to be done with. Teddy Roosevelt wanted the game to be done. It was too physical. He put Walter Camp, who Yale person, put him in charge of setting the rules, the down and distance, and making it a cleaner game where there wouldn't be as many injuries. And that's where a lot of people don't know, like, the rules of the game came from. So the rules of the game really came from New Haven, Connecticut, and Walter Camp. So to get that start, but Rob, you're right. There are a lot of challenges because, as you said, when you look at that SEC football, you look at all the big football, and there's really not that big time football here. You'd have to go, Syracuse, upstate New York, Boston College. For all the college football that we have here, there's not that big time football in this part of the woods. But when you look at Yale and you look at the history of Yale, and we partnered up with Yale, we have our events there, we have our dinner there. All the history plus Walter Camp there. A lot of people don't even realize this when you're going down on 34 and you see those arches. That's where our logo comes from, our older logo comes from, and it's still incorporated in our new logo. So there's so much history and there's so much to be proud of working in this part of the woods. And you and I talked off the air. When you look at the event that we put on the weekend, the fundraising that we have to do to bring 24, 25 All-Americans here. You don't see all those All-Americans in one spot, and we're lucky and fortunate enough to have that here.
Never. There's no awards banquet or awards dinner that doesn't last more than 6 hours. You guys are 3 days, 4 days of bringing these All-Americans in, alumni in. Basically, it's who's who of American football, college and the NFL that comes to this weekend. So talk about it. So players typically come in Thursday.
So we have some players come in on Wednesday night. And then others come in on Thursday. And what happens is Thursday we start off our weekend with our Stay in School rally at the Floyd Little Athletic Center. And we target 2,500 middle school kids, the important messages of staying in school. But this year we're doing things a little different with that. And it's very important to know because the issues that you see in today's society, we're incorporating the social media, the importance of, listen, my son, I have a 12-year-old son, and he's on social media. And we try telling them, and the message we're going to send this year as well is, hey, what you do now can affect you 8-10 years down the road on social media. So let's be smart about what you do. And the other thing we're incorporating this year is bullying, anti-bullying. And those are two big things that, that in today's society that needs to get out of there. The message needs to get out there. And we're incorporating that in a program this year as well. So we have the Stay in Schools Thursday. We do our hospital visits to Hartford Hospital. And then we have a welcoming dinner where by that time, a majority of our players will be in. We have that at Anthony's for just a few 600 people that we have Thursday night dinner. So that kicks off our weekend. And then it just goes full steam from there. We have our alumni brunch where we honor the alumni that come in. Each year we have probably about 20, 25 alumni. Most have played in the NFL.
Typically the same guys, or you try to rotate guys through?
Well, I think, it's a good point what you said. So it's been the same guys, but over the last few years, we've trying to get younger and younger. And I think this year we have a good group coming in, a newer group. So I think, the importance of that, and like people ask me, well, what's the difference? Who you bring? Well, the difference is you always have to be able to relate to each generation of people that come to the event. So the younger generation, they may know a Dre Bly, they may know a Teddy Bruschi that come in. So they may not know a Ken Huff, they may not know who a David Fulcher is. So we're trying to make it so every person that's there has a relationship with, hey, I used to watch this person, or hey, I know this person. So we do that. And then I think our big thing is, and I think a lot of people associate us with just college football, but on Fridays really tell the story for us because we will visit a numerous amount of hospitals where there's kids stricken with cancer, or the people who may have some other ailments that, looking for just a shining light. And we'll go to 4 or 5 area hospitals and we'll visit them. Where the players go, the cheerleaders, mascots. So it's not just, and they just don't go and say hi. They actually spend time with these kids, which I think is phenomenal.
Do you guys still do the restaurant where you split up and you take different players out to restaurants?
So what we do, that was Thursday.
Did I jump a gun on you?
No. So Anthony's, we do that. So we do that at Anthony's. That's our welcoming dinner on Thursday. And then on Fridays, we have Friday nights. We do have, not to jump ahead, we have our All-American Experience, where we're still taking kids to sign up ages 7 to 14, where there's 10 different stations. High school, college coaches are there. The All-Americans are there showing kids what to do. So football players. And we've incorporated a cheerleading clinic this year that we've done on a trial basis, which is great. And that event is open to the public. that event is open to the public. There's still, you can go on our website, waltercamp.org, to get tickets for the.
But you got to register for the clinic, though, right? There's
correct.
only a certain
Yep.
amount. Okay.
Yep. And then, so to get to your point, so Friday night we have a private dinner at Maury's, historic Maury's, where the
Yeah.
major award winners, the officers, past presidents go. And then we have our sponsors. They have separate dinners that go to different restaurants. So we're all over the community from Wednesday night when they come in, Thursday, Friday, and then on Saturday, of course, we have our Breakfast of Champions. We honor the 4 high school championship teams that we'll release today. Our Kelly Award winner, who is the best team in the high school team in the state. And then the Saturday night is our All-American Gala dinner. And so, I mean, it's
Which is amazing.
It's
incredible. Yeah, it is incredible. It's beyond incredible. It's one of the greatest. If you are a college football fan, this is it. This is the holy grail. If you could get invited to or buy tickets to this event, if you love college football, there's that thing should be sold out like an Ozzy Osbourne concert in 2 seconds, Chris. Right?
And I'll tell you this, Robbie, you a great point.
Yeah.
So over 50 years, and this is our 52nd dinner. So I would say 50 of them have always been at the Yale Commons.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're going through renovations, a $150 million renovation project that for the next 2-3 years, we're going to be displaced. And we're at the Landman Center. So this year, we've opened it up to the public. So now the public can get tickets to that. So we're doing a push on that because everybody's saying, hey, how do I get tickets? How do I get tickets? And we've always been tight with space. Now this year we can fit 200, 300 more people, and we're offering it to the public. We have a big marketing campaign going on to that. And, quite frankly, we want people to go out there. We want people to see this dinner. And this year, just the draw of just some of our winners, we have our Distinguished American is Archie Manning this year from Ole Miss. Our Man of the Year is Mike Golick. Tomorrow we'll be announcing our Alumni of the Year, who's a big name, and I'm sure people will be excited to see that tomorrow. And this year our Connecticut Player of the Year is Zach Allen from New Canaan, Boston College. Mm-hmm. And we have this year a Perseverance Award that we're giving out. And I'm sure a lot of people know the story of Jake Olson from USC. He's the blind long snapper.
Yeah.
And he's coming in early, and he's expressed interest that he would like to do everything in the community that he can to spread the word of never giving up and perseverance. And I think through our weekend, a lot of people will say, hey, it's the players, but there's a lot of messages that we send out there in the weekend. Jake Olson's, hey, you know what? He may have lost his vision, but didn't stop his dream for playing at USC. The messages of
that's an amazing story, by the way.
Insane story. And we went out. A group of us went out there 2-3 weeks ago, and we watched the game and we talked. We met with Jake and everything, and we had a great weekend out there. And just to see, what he goes through on a daily basis to make sure that he can be on the field fulfilling his dream is just more than amazing. I mean, it's just the perseverance that he has shown and the never give up attitude. I mean, that's what I think we want everybody to see. I mean, you can't do something if you don't try. And at today's, I really feel this, at today's day and age, the youth of America is so fixated on video games that you look at somebody like Jake who was not going to be denied, and he went out there and worked. He didn't stay inside on video games all day, and that's what made him what he is today. And now he's speaking to groups, he's passing across his message. And I think that's something as a foundation we do as well. When we go to hospitals, we spread all the good news. We try to enliven up these kids' lives that don't have what other kids, the fortunes that other kids have. I mean, they didn't choose to be in the hospital. That's where they are. And we're just trying to do our part to better the community.
It's a great community event. And I'm going to give you my Walter Camp story. So I went as a high school athlete. I got invited to it. And then as a college athlete, I got invited to it. And Bob Bacozzi was the MC. And I think we were at Anthony's. And so it was the breakfast. And they were announced. It was a local college. It was the local college guys, right? So pretty much every college kid was here, and with that, had some type of accolade after the season. And I remember Bob Bacozzi announced. Now, growing up here, Bob was Channel 8 forever, right?
Yeah.
So he goes and he finally announces me, and I'm thinking, maybe he has a little story about my West Haven days. No story. Introducing Ron Thompson from the running back from the University of New Hampshire. Hey, I walked down to people who knew me that were there. They're like, and I heard somebody walk by one of the tables, right? Because they sit you at the guy goes, that's a big ass running back. I was 285 pounds. I'm like, how do you not look up? And anyway, so that was pretty funny. Everybody rolled me about that one the whole day. So yeah, but no, going as a kid in high school and in college and afterwards as an adult, you know, it never got old. I know my son wants to go to it and he plays D1 college football and he was like, I want to go see those guys, you know? So,
amazing. And I will tell you this, Rob, just to like, I remember growing up and when we were growing up, they used to have 2 newspapers. It used to be the Journal Courier in
That's
the
right.
morning and
Yeah,
the New Register
that's
in the
right.
afternoon. I remember
yeah,
getting ready to go to school and seeing the pictures in the paper. And I'd be like, oh
Yeah.
man, I'd love to go to this. I'd love to go to this. And
yeah,
it's kind of weird. Like you think back and you say to yourself, wow, as a kid, I always wanted to do this. And now I'm the president of the foundation. It's
Yeah.
like, you know, you come full circle to it. And I think, you know, maybe you don't realize it, but when you're younger, maybe it touches you for a different reason. And now as you like to think you get more mature and you say, hey, you know, it's not just about the football, it's about other issues as well that go on and why we do it.
Do we really get more mature? I don't know.
That's what I say. I like to think.
You know, I want to go back to a point you made before too. So you're talking about the anti-bullying program. I honestly believe that esports became popular because less kids are bullying nowadays. So the esport athletes are the nerdy kids that you would shove in a locker anyway. So because of anti-bullying, esports has. So let's blame it on that. Got blame it on anti-bullying. Damn those guys. That was an ecosystem, right? There was a hierarchy in school of the kids that ran the school, the alpha kids, and you know, then the other kids.
Chain.
No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Nothing is always because things change. Nothing, you know, the good old days wasn't always the good old days. You become romantic with the good old days, right?
Right. Our perception is that, well, it really didn't have much harm. It toughened us up.
Right.
But, you know, let's think about some of those things.
So much dysfunction. I mean, how many kids you go to school with that had autism,
and
right?
didn't know it.
And didn't know it.
Right.
Right.
I think a couple people claimed I might have.
Well, that's secretly. So,
But no, you're right. That's 100% correct.
yeah.
But what about all the stuff that we didn't have, you know, the knowledge about?
Right.
And I always equate it to this way. This day and age, thankfully, and this is my opinion, thankfully, when that stuff is now more educated and more known about, it gets the proper care and the proper sympathy,
Right.
quote unquote. You know, our generation, that was the basis of your comedy.
Right.
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 He's right.
It's
Right.
crazy.
Yeah.
How, you know, talk about turning it on its head.
Yeah.
I mean, we could talk for days about, you know.
Yeah.
But Walter Camp.
Yeah.
I moved here from New York, and had no idea about it at all. And my first year here, my wife came home. She's a nurse at St. Vincent's School for Special Needs in Trumbull, and she goes. She came home from work one day, and she goes, "Hey, I met this guy at work today, and he's going to be in the NFL. He plays for what's that school with the Wolverines?" So I'm like, "Michigan?" She goes, "Yeah, he plays football for them." I go, "What do you mean you met him at work?" Like, so she pulls out her phone and he has her like hoisted up. My wife's about 5'4", 120 pounds. He has her like he's holding her like it's a Sears picture when you take your child. He was a first round draft pick, offensive lineman. And I go, what is going on? Like, I'm seeing all these pictures, and she explained to me that it was a visit from the players. I don't know if it's still a regular stop, but it was multiple years because every year she would come home and tell me who she met, get the names wrong, and you know she's not football oriented at all. But I really thought, like, wow, I thought that this was just kind of an all-star dinner, you know, that type of event, and I didn't realize the community outreach and. You know, as you mentioned, the kids at that school in particular, like all of them, are just in such unfortunate situations. And I got to hear from her how it made their day. You know, all the kids at that school. So I had a little unique perspective because I saw that end of it. And I think that speaks volumes about the entire event and what these guys go out around here and do. And you guys don't really stay that local. I mean, this is in Trumbull.
Right.
I know you mentioned you go to Hartford.
Yep.
So it's almost a statewide, if you want to say that,
Yeah.
outreach, which is fantastic.
And I think the key to that is, it's not just us, it's the players. How at the end we'll say, hey, what'd you think of the dinner? And I would bet easily to say 95% of them will say that the hospital visits were their favorite part.
Yeah.
And when you go in there, and I think what it is it really opens their eyes to what's really out there, and all the circumstances that, hey, not everybody is a great athlete, not everybody has all this stuff going from. There are challenges out there, and I think when they leave there, you see a sense of quiet, and I know because I look, and I felt the same way when I first started doing it. You see that they're thinking, you know what I mean? And I think that's such a great thing about that they know that they've done such a good thing for so many kids that are in those situations on that day. And I think that's really the best part for me, is seeing that how they go there and they're open arms, and then when they leave, they really appreciate what they just did.
Yeah, I got to imagine I believe that they do, obviously a lot of things in institution and in, their program, but I think taking them out and bringing them somewhere else, like outside of their football program, and putting the unique situation where you have so many athletes from different schools,
right,
who are all quote unquote the best players, and getting them together independently and bringing them somewhere where they're not used to. It almost makes it feel. I've done a lot. We've done with our program on a smaller scale, if you want to say that, but I can imagine how the gratification of that, doing it when you're in your environment and with your team, it's kind of like, well, this is a team function.
Right.
We have to do this.
Right.
Almost. We have to. This is more of, I can imagine the impact.
And you know what else we noticed, which is funny, like my son even said something. So like you'll get two teams that don't like each other. Let's just say Ohio State and Michigan, right?
Yeah. But
they come up here and you see the respect that the players have, not only for their opposing player, but when they go in the hospital visits, they're not afraid. They're with each other. And that to me tells more than anything. I mean, hey, on the field is one thing, off the field we're here for the same goal, the same thing. And I think that's probably the best thing that you see out of the weekend is the unity. And when you see these guys talking, you see the respect they have for each other. I mean, these guys are talking, they're smiling, they're laughing, wishing each other well in the NFL. I mean, and that's something great that I think everybody should see.
Yep.
How about crazy stories? Anything you have any crazy stories that have happened? I know there's some legendary ones, and we can't name names. I think there's some folklore, but I'm sure some of the, not from the current players, but I'm sure some of the alumni that come back, and
there's
anything that jump out at you that you could share. No names.
Yeah, probably not that I could share, but I think that the biggest thing is when they come here. I don't think that they know what they're getting into.
Yeah. And
then they come here and they're like, wow, this is such a great thing. And I think when it's the nighttime events, when they meet the All-Americans that are in now, when you're really seeing them talk to the alumni that are here, and you see them gaining knowledge from them, asking questions. I mean, it could be 1:00 in the morning. Not that I'm up at 1:00.
No, of course not. You're by 9.
Just be passing through, but
right.
But you see them talking. And when you see them listening, while others are out doing whatever they're doing, and they're out listening and taking the advice, I think that's something that, you remember the most, because you see, I mean, there's a lot of funny stuff that goes on too, but when you see stuff like that they're really taking the time, and you see that they're really trying to pick an alumni's brains, I mean, that's something that you say, wow, this guy gets it, on that sense.
It's a unique business. It's a unique organization. It's incredible. I mean, it really is the epicenter during that time of the year for college and pro football, and everybody comes through, and anybody who's anybody in college football and pro football knows Walter Camp Weekend, and you guys, and the Don Sharps of the world, and Tom Lally is still Tom is everybody slept at Tom's house, I think, at one point on the couch.
Back in Atlanta, Tom.
Yeah, so Tom went on that trip. Yeah. So not only is New Haven, known for college football, but now we are proclaimed the pizza capital of the United States by Barstool.
Yep.
Presidente. What do you think about that?
Well,
I had tears in my eyes a little bit.
Well,
when
what's funny? So we're in Atlanta, and we're at Atlanta breakfast. I guess it's all over the Food Network, and so it's a must try. We have to go down there. Yeah. Food is outstanding, and we're there and we're watching, and it's so captivating because like you see him go in the one bite, and so first he goes in and he does the modern, and he scores modern, then he does Sally's and says Sally's the best Pepe's, and then we're sitting there thinking that like when we call, we were in Atlanta talking to Julian Love from Notre Dame, and who's on our team this year, and he's like, hey, I like pizza. I heard a lot about the pizza here. And so we're like, you like pizza? This is the pizza capital. And we show him the video. And he goes, oh, I know that. That's one bite. I get that. And then he was like, that's where you guys are from. We start talking, and it's funny just how far-reaching it is now. That like everybody's saying New Haven because people want to say New York, Chicago, and then to have 4 great places here in our city.
Mike, we knew it growing up.
Yes.
Well, maybe we didn't know. Maybe we thought the rest of the world had pizza like we had.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Indiana.
Yeah.
Let me know how it goes.
I had a GA that was my GA in athletics, and he's from South Bend, and I took him on the tour. I was like, you guys have to, the 2 GAs, and we would go to different spots, and he was hard pressing me on this place in South Bend. I was like, just stop right there. It's like me trying to argue with you about the quality of football between Notre Dame and University of New Haven. Come on, man. Just let's stop. And I won the bet. I won it, but it's amazing that what something like we knew all our lives, and especially when you move out, you were like, if New Haven doesn't capitalize on this moment right now, right? From just a pure marketing standpoint, years ago, I just knew it from the traveling I've done. And I captured a URL, newhavenpizzacompany.com. I just about 5 years ago, I jumped on that URL. I said, at some point, somebody like the California Kitchen, someone's going to create the New Haven Pizza Company, and it's going to be franchised throughout the United States. I mean, Pepe's is trying to do it, but they're not going to be able to scale it. Somebody's going to come in, like an Olive Garden or whatever. They're going to create a New Haven pizza whatever. And it's going to be coal ovens, and it's going to be all over the place. It's going to be in Vegas. It's going to be down at Disney Springs.
Right.
It's going to be close to every college campus. It's going to happen. So, fellas, maybe we should ask for a start of GoFundMe right now.
And what's funny is, for as long as I can remember, 2 decades in the foundation is every year without fail, there's someone. Hey, where's this Pepe's? Hey, where's the salad? We got to get here. Can we get here for lunch? Can we do this? Can you bring some back? And there's bar and mod. Yeah. So and everybody, they all know the names, and it's funny because we try to get them there, and they all have their ratings, and it's the best. It's the best seeing them get their versions of our pizzas here.
Yeah. Well, hold on to that. You got the oldest football All-American team, and we got the best pizza in America. That's actually, forget it. We don't need to be down south. We're glad we're here. So what's next? I mean, is there any other big vision? Do you guys think you'll ever do a bowl game or sponsor a bowl game or an all-star weekend?
Well, we have a lot of things that we have a lot of balls in the air, if you will. We're trying to partner with a lot of different people. Yep. And I think there's a couple of things out there that if we do finalize, which we're really looking to do that. I think we can be big nationally, and I think we can really get our name out there. And I think the thing about Walter Camp is I think maybe on the Northeast you hear a lot about it, but maybe in the Midwest, if you will, you don't hear as much about it. And I think that has to be our goal. Everybody knows what the Heisman is. Everybody knows when that award is. And I think it's fair to say that maybe 50% know what we are and what we do, and that number has to raise. We have to raise the bar of that, and I've always said has nothing to do with the Heisman. I mean, that's a single entity. That's their event. That's their players that come in. We are totally different, and for the father of American football, this is the reason why the game of football is played. And for us, we feel that people need to know the story of Walter Camp and what we do. Alongside with college football and all that, there are other things that we do to drive this foundation. And I think, to answer your question, that has to be our goal.
Awesome. How do people find out about ticket information, schedule of events, and how to purchase tickets and become involved as a volunteer?
So all that, you can go to our website, waltercamp.org. You could also call for tickets, 203-288-CAMP. Again, like I said, our tickets for our Fan Fest, for our Saturday dinner, our Thursday night dinner, all that is on our website, as well as how to become a member. And we're always looking for active members. And I will preface it by saying this: we're looking for active members that want to make a difference in the community, not active members that are looking for autographs or looking to meet Rob Thompson or Mike Madera.
You mean Ron Thompson? Ron Thompson, familiar, I'm sure. Mike, it's been a pleasure, buddy. Fellow Westie, Chris, thank you. Sports Biz Podcast. Thanks again for joining, and keep the fires burning.
Okay.
Boom. We're going to do another show.
Okay.
So stick around for that. It'll be quick. We want to talk about the Dolphins.
Sure.
We want to talk about the Dolphins because we ride the Patriots. At least I do.
Sounds good to me. I'm a Dolphin fan.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Are you? Sad what happened to Tony, right? Just way too early.
And it was crazy. Like obviously from Mort. I mean,